Bombo, hanay sugdo.
Kadungan sa paniyaga, yari ang inyong palatuntunan nga wala sang kagutuman sa isyo. Mga komentaryo nga wala sang ginaatrasan.
Bombo, hanay sugdo.
Kalakip man ang pinakaulihing nga balita national, kag mga live reports nagikan sa mga field reporters, kag mga isyong wala sang ginaatrasan.
Bombo, hanay sugdo.
Bombo Radyo Coronadal.
Number 1!
Basta Radyo. Bombo.
I-check nato ang aton nga BFP, no? Do concern kita may nagagiabi diri sa aton, no? Base din to sila makadto to. May respondan guro to ay. No. Sige lang. I-check nato mga kabombo ang aton sining international correspondent from Washington DC, isa ni kaabogado mga kabombo si Attorney Kristine Cabagnot. Ma'am, from here in the Philippines, magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon po. I'm Kristine Tungol Cabagnot, live right outside Washington DC. It's 1:39 a.m. here, but talagang from the heart akong nag-correspondent report sa iyo ngayon. So thanks for having me.
Thank you rin ma'am no sa iyong time dito sa Bombo Radyo Coronadal po, no? And we're so privileged no to have an interview with you, no, lalo na isang attorney po, no, an expert in the law po ang ating makakasama po sa linya. Anyway po ma'am Kristine, or attorney rather, no, Attorney Kristine, taga saan ka po dito ma'am sa Pilipinas?
Yung pamilya ko po ay taga Bohol, Philippines. Talaga lumad kaming Bohol. Yung Tungol, my maiden name, and then my husband also is from Bohol, the Cabagnot. Yes.
Okay. Pero hangtod sa karon ma'am, kabalo pa mong Bisaya?
Ay kinadamuan, bisdak damo.
Dagan ang bisdak diyan, no? Murag mga ibabaw ang mga Bisaya diyan. So okay lang ma'am, ang atong conversation Bisaya ra?
Pero sir, ang akong bisdak Cebuano, so dili ko kamao other than Cebuano, so.
Sige lang, okay na. At least kasabot man mi diri sa Radyo Coronadal og Cebuano kay bandri mga Bisaya man. Sige lang.
Pero at least magkasinabot ta.
Lagi. No, diyan jud ma'am. Magkita jud tas nga ana jud ang ilang.
Exactly.
But anyway, ma'am, rather attorney, pila nakakatuig dia attorney sa Washington DC?
So I moved out here for work right after I became a lawyer in 2006. But so yeah, I've been living here since 2006, right outside DC in the Northern Virginia side of the Metro DC.
Oh, okay. And may we know, ma'am, kung saan ka po naka-affiliate ngayon?
So I am actually affiliated with a couple of things. My father and I, we run a father-daughter law firm. The main, he's also an immigration attorney. And so our main office is in Chicago, Illinois, right outside Chicago, Illinois. And I run the second office here in Washington, D.C. However, I'm also a legal editor with American Immigration Lawyers Association. That was my first job right after my law school. They pulled me in-house because we are immigration lawyers. So they pulled me in-house to our trade association. And I was a legal editor for several years before we branched out into another branch office here in the DC area.
Wow, that's quite an accomplishment, no? Marami-rami po, no? Parang dagan dyan sa taon na yung
It's just a lot of hard work, that's all.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. No? Siyempre,
it.
testament ang imong titulo di ma'am as attorney. No? But anyway, kamusta ho na to, attorney, no? Ang situation, especially kay init naman jud kayo ang elections dira sa Estados Unidos. So
Yes.
far, our latest update, unsay latest information dia regarding sa pagpangampanya sa kining duha ka mga pambato sa Democratic o Republican Party, ma'am, especially Joe Biden and US President Donald Trump?
Right. So there's a lot of things going on right now in the middle of a COVID pandemic. So you have two starkly different ways of campaigning from these two candidates. For example, see, Trump goes out, he loves the big rallies, he loves to see thousands of people. He goes out there without a mask on. A lot of these people are out there with no mask on, chanting. That's what he likes. And so that's the kind of type of rally that he feels invigorated about. Meanwhile, you have Biden, who is more cautious, who is always masking up. Ang rallies ni Biden, for example, he had a big rally in Tampa, but all you could see are cars lined up, cars even social distancing for miles and miles as he is speaking, and then you see a big screen because they want to social distance, but they also want to bring out the vibe, the energy to their voters, to their constituents. And so you have the two different styles of their campaigns. And now I pulled up a statistic that more than 83 million people already voted. And my husband and I are two of those 83 million people that already voted. And this is with 4 days to go, kasi meron kaming early voting dito, and you can also mail in your ballot. You can also drop your ballot in a designated official ballot drop off box. But what you're seeing are people coming out to vote, physically vote. So we were lucky that here in Northern Virginia we could get and vote early voting 2 weeks ago. Meron pang in person, in line, or drive-through. So we were in the comfort and safety of our vehicle. We drove up, they took our identification and were able to vote, no problem. However, in other parts of the U.S., you're seeing long, long lines. I know people in Georgia who have stood for 5 hours waiting to vote. My friends in New York stood for 2 to 3 hours in the rain yesterday. They want their votes counted, and that's a lot of people before the actual election day. 83 million votes have already been counted. So that's what you have right now, sir.
Okay. And since in Washington DC, obviously, maka-Trump jud ning naadya, so Republican, ang
No, you would be surprised. Washington D.C. is definitely not Trump. It's blue. It's Democratic. And here in Northern Virginia, kasi even though Metro D.C. kami, we are still part of Northern Virginia. And so it's Northern Virginia that's more densely populated and drives the rest of Virginia to vote Democrats. And I'm proud to say that we vote blue. We voted blue. And I have family members who are Republicans and who have voted for Biden for many, many reasons. And all of them just being so frustrated with Trump, frustrated with what's going on in COVID. Now, you might not hear that because a lot of Filipinos and a lot of Filipino-American pundits tend to be more Republican. But the reality of it is, if you're out here, if you're seeing the polls, and these are not fake news, these are verifiable and corroborative polls, you will see that Joe Biden has a big lead, 12 points lead versus Trump, whereas in 2016, around this time, Hillary Clinton only had 4 points lead over Trump. So we're actually excited to see what Tuesday will bring. We're also apprehensive and all a little careful. We don't know if there's going to be riots. We'll be ready for the worst. So prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. Yun ang motto namin, sir. Yeah.
So you mentioned the riots, attorney. I'm sure that this is one of the events that is being prepared by the police, not just in Northern Virginia, but I think almost all of the states, because we know naman na they will protest. The Democratic and the Republican parties will try to exert their dominance in their votes, even though the other party has won, but still the other party will try to contradict that. So expect natin yung mga rallies, ma'am, and that's what we are concerned about.
We're definitely concerned about that. We've never had voting like this before. Voting had always been safe. But with what's going on, we don't know. So we're, like I said, each state and their and have the police ready, have the not the militia, not the ones who are not officially out there to serve and protect, but each state with their serve and protect people are getting ready definitely for this day.
Okay. No? So, of course, no, as a fellow Filipino, ma'am, no, all we can say is that take care. Kaya syempre, no, kabalaka man punta diya sa inyo ha. Labi na kay, basig mag-rally-rally na karon, basig mo lala pa, no? Gawas pa sa George Floyd rally and protest. Sa pagkakaroon, ma'am, no, unsay latest predictions or updates, no, regarding sa mga votes, no, aside sa expected na sabi natin itong pagpangibabaw, no, ni Biden sa boto, no, when it comes to electoral votes.
So I don't know if you're familiar. It's a little different, the election here compared to theirs, sir. No, because we have the popular votes wherein the total number of vote per person. On top of that, we have the electoral votes because the U.S. is so wide. We have 50 states and Washington, D.C. So that includes Alaska and Hawaii. And you have the densely or hugely populated states with the big cities like New York and California. You have L.A., San Francisco, you have Chicago and Illinois. So the other states, those states alone could win an election based on popular votes. So what they did years and years ago was create the Electoral College. So you go state by state. In the state of New York, for example, whoever wins the state of New York gets 29 electoral votes. In Texas, whoever wins gets 36, so on and so forth, until you have the magic number of 270 electoral votes. If you get 270, you win the U.S. election, regardless or not. You win the popular election, the popular votes. And that's exactly what happened in 2016. Remember, I said at this point, Hillary was projected to win by 4 points, where unfortunately several states flipped from being Democratic blue to red. These are key states like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. So in the end, Trump had 304 electoral votes to Hillary Clinton's 227. But if you look at the popular votes, Hillary Clinton won by 3 million votes. 3 million popular votes. 65,845. 65,845,000 versus Trump's 62,980,000. So this is how they try to even the playing field, because winning the popular votes does not necessarily win you the whole election. You have to get to the magic number of 270 electoral votes. So look at the projection right now. In the 2020 election really quick, the projection right now is that the Democrats will win 290 votes and the Republicans will win 163. If this holds up, then Biden will win the electoral votes and win the presidential election. Again, he's projected with 12 points lead. That's a lot of, that's like a landslide win compared to Clinton's 4-point lead in 2016. So that's the Electoral College in a nutshell.
Yeah, I know na dito sa Pilipinas, no, some of us, no, here in the Philippines are still familiarizing, but then again, here in Bombo Radyo, we have somewhat an idea on how the electoral votes are conducted. Now, ma'am, no, regarding naman sa ating, sa manin, mag-business sa Tagalog, halo-halo naman.
Bisaya, Tagalog. Okay din ako mag-Tagalog, sir.
Sige, no, pwede, Tagalog, no, Bisaya, basta importante, magkasinabot. Halo-halo naman sige, no. Kato ma'am, no, sa atong mga predictions dito, so expected kung ingani ang plastada sa mga boto, adunay posibilidad nga or dako ang tsansa, no, that Democrats will win, despite the Republicans gaining the popular vote, no, on a higher count, no? But then again, if we put it in an electoral college or voting, the Democrats will win based on the system.
Based on the system's always been accurate, but 2020 is just such a loopy year. You never know. Whoever gets 270 electoral votes will win the election. Now, if the lead is so small, the other party can contest it in court, and this is when they drag it in court. So it's key for whoever wins this election, whether it's Trump or Biden, it's key to win na landslide, because you cannot contest a landslide when both in electoral votes and popular votes. If the votes are so close, they will battle it out in courts, and it'll be dragged on. So that's why the key to winning, whoever is going to win has to win a landslide.
And of course, ma'am, I also heard that the final say when it comes to appealing the election result, the final say comes from the House of Representatives. I think that's the way the U.S. just or voting system counts, because ang boto, ang pag-istoryahan sa gyapon sa Kamara de Representantes, in which the votes that has been argued will sabi natin dito na mismo magresulta ang maong desisyon sa tawa Attorney Cabagnot.
Actually, I don't know if you remember, between George W. Bush and Al Gore, it went all the way to the Supreme Court. So that's why the fast track nomination and swearing in of the new Supreme Court Barrett is a very contentious topic, because if Trump has put 3 justices in the Supreme Court, and so this is going to end if there's a contention, if there's a lawsuit filed, it ends to the Supreme Court, and with justices that are leaning more Trump's way, he has more of a weight. If they do go to if the election results do go to court. And it's the Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land. It's our U.S. Supreme Court here. So that's the one that's going to determine if there's any anomaly in the voting, if there's any, just like what happened in the 2000 elections where Al Gore won the popular votes and the electoral votes all went down to Florida. Florida was that one state. And they determined in the U.S. Supreme Court that George W. Bush was the winner, with Florida deciding it.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Okay. Attorney, there were also rumors, I'm not sure what these are, but there were some rumors that U.S. Judge Barrett was placed there as by President Trump as allegedly a fail-safe or insurance, just to make sure para na kung sakali matalo man si Biden, at least the judges designated by Trump, ma-insure pa rin yung kanyang panalo, attorney.
Not necessarily his panalo, but his legacy, because the U.S. Supreme Court justices are for life. So they're there for life until their death. Now, they can step down, because as you've seen, most of them have died. The most recent one, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So they don't determine the elections, but or whether Trump will win again or not. That's not how it goes. But it determines his legacy. It determines they lean more towards a conservative view. So you have a more conservative leaning justices now that are elected for life, but they are still beholden to the U.S. Constitution. They are not there as Trump's lackey.
Okay. So, I have no other questions, ma'am. I think naubos mo naman sa explain, That was some comprehensive and profound explanation. Siguro, ma'am, sa pagkakaroon, hatagan-tagag time, to greet your relatives and friends here in the Philippines, especially in Bohol, attorney, para karon
Yes.
madunggan
so
po nila yung tingog niya.
That's so kind. Thank you so much. And again, I want to greet everyone listening, and thank you for giving me this time to explain to you unsay election, unsay updates sa election diri sa US. I want to greet our families back home. Our immediate families are here in the US, but my husband's family is still back home. It's my niece's Daisa's birthday today, so happy birthday, Daisa! Wow. And also to our Tungol relatives, or Lamdagan relatives, and of course, our Cabagnot relatives. We also have, I don't know if Samar is part of your vicinity, you know, Samar, Leyte, but my husband's mother is from there, mga Guardiano, and so I just want to greet all our relatives. Thank you for giving me the time, by the way.
Yeah. If
And
matapos na,
the Luceros, yes.
if matapos na ang COVID-19 attorney, unsay tuig na to or unsay bulan ta makauli diri sa Pilipinas to enjoy some quality time sa imong relatives?
Hopefully, you know, as soon as we can. And I just want to I want to wish you all as well safety, you know, amping mutanan and Godspeed, and let's just hope, let's just collectively try to get over 2020 and hope 2021 will bring a vaccine, a cure, something to stop this pandemic. So always praying and hoping for the best.
Yeah. Kaya nga ma'am, no? So, yun itong ipanalangan natin, no? Na sana may vaccine na, no? To treat this COVID-19 at wala nang mamamatay, no? Sige ma'am, or attorney, no? Basig doon na kapay ipalagas ka mga mensahe diya. Basing nalimtan ni mo, o garo naman na remember?
I think that's it. I covered it, you know.
Okay.
I kind of covered it in a nutshell. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. You may go ahead and email me, Kristine at tungolaw.com.
Okay.
That's Kristine at tungolaw.com. And I'm happy to hear from any and all of you.
Okay.
And I welcome your questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then, thank you also, Attorney Kristine Cabagnot, live from Washington, D.C. I know na medyo sayo na kayo, ma'am, no? Kagahon na kayo diya. Magalas dos na, I think, ang oras diya sa Kabuntagon.
Alas dos na yun, sakto.
Alas dos na. Igtulog na dyan, no? Sige, no? We'll give you time to rest, ma'am, and hoping, no, for peaceful and safe elections there in the U.S. God bless, ma'am. Take care.
Amen. Thank you so much. God bless. Godspeed.
Ang aton nga international correspondent / attorney pagid mga kabumbo, no? Do tanan nga mga English nga natipon ta sa utok, ubos gid ba? O ganing hindi basta-basta attorney ang istoryahan mo kay maubos gid ang imong English. No, but anyway, no, thank you so much kay Attorney Kristine Cabagnot, ang aton nga international correspondent dira sa may Washington DC, no? Makatilingala gali ng Washington DC pero Democrats gilig gapang niya baboto. Sige, bantayan naton kay base daw sa projected forecast, no, si Biden daw ang lamang, no, kag Democratic Party sa ila sini karon nga pagbantay sa mga boto. But then again, no, let's see how it turns out kung ano gid bala ang mangin plastada sini. Sige mga kabombo, kay lapaw na gid kita sa oras, no? Sobra pa gid sa lapaw kay oras na kuntanin ni Tito Kaloy, pero sige lang, no, naghatag kita sang ligwa para sa aton nga international correspondent. Anyway, maraming salamat din si Bombo Johnson sa para sa pambansang radyo ng Pilipinas. Mayong hapon, basta radyo. Bombo.
Sa radyo, Bombo!